Hello children, welcome to our second session of the lesson The Golden Touch. This is Sandhya. In our previous session, we started with a story about a king called Midas. We also saw how because of his greediness, his own daughter becomes a lifeless statue. I'm sure you all would have gone through the story once or twice. Let's read out the story here once again. Follow the audio carefully and read along with the audio. Run through your fingers on the text as you read it along.
The Golden Touch. Here is the story of a famous king called Midas. Read on to find out more. Once upon a time, there lived a rich king called Midas. He loved gold and had a room full of gold objects. He had a little daughter called Marigold. One day, a fairy suddenly appeared before him. "I can grant you one wish. Ask me anything you want," said the fairy. "I want everything I touch to turn to beautiful gold," said the king. "Are you quite sure this will make you happy?" asked the fairy. "Of course it will," King Midas said quickly. "Let it be as you wish then," said the fairy and disappeared. King Midas awoke early the next day. He was eager to see if the fairy had kept his promise. He first touched the bed lightly with his hand. It turned to gold. King Midas was the happiest man in the world. He touched everything in the room. All of it turned to gold. He touched the lovely roses in the garden and they turned to gold. King Midas was so happy and wanted to sing and dance. King Midas went back to the palace. He saw little Marigold crying. "What happened?" he asked. Marigold said, "Father, all the roses in the garden are yellow and seem to be made of gold. They no longer smell sweet." "Oh, don't cry," said Midas. "Come, give me a hug." Marigold threw her arms around him. At once, the little girl changed into a golden statue. The king was shocked. He cried, "My child! Oh, what have I done?" King Midas called upon the fairy. "Please take away this wish. Just give me back my little daughter," he cried. The next moment, the fairy stood before him. "Do you still think gold is the greatest thing in the world?" asked the fairy. "No, no," cried the king. "I have learnt my lesson. I will not be so greedy anymore," he said. "Very well," said the fairy. "Use the water from the river that flows near your garden. Sprinkle it over anything that you wish to change back." King Midas did as the fairy told him. He sprinkled water over the golden statue of little Marigold, and she came back to life. King Midas had finally lost his greed for gold.
Now let us move on with the question time activity. It is an opportunity for us to check our understanding of the theme of the lesson. We will go over few questions to do this. Now look at your screen. This is your question time activity 7.2. There are 4 questions given. Let me read out the instructions for you. The first question says, King Midas loved dash. There are few options given for you. Silver, your gold, your copper. So you may choose the right answer and fill in the blank. Second question. Marigold was sad because there are 3 options given again. The roses had turned to gold. Second one, she did not have friends. Third one, everything her father touched turned to gold. According to you, whatever is the right option, you may refer the text from the story. Third question, take your response. The king was very happy after his daughter turned to gold. True or false? Fourth question. King Midas learnt that there is a dash given. You need to fill your response there. I'm sure it is very easy to find the answers for these questions from the text of the story. We have discussed about the last question also, as what was the lesson King Midas learnt from this. So now it is your turn to work on this activity. Open page number 26 of your studio and write today's date. Else, you can use your notebook, write today's date, and also mention the activity name as Question Time Activity 7.2 before you begin. You may pause the video for 15 minutes now to work on this activity. Press play once you're done. Welcome back, children. I hope it was very easy to complete the activity. Let us quickly check our response. Look at your screen. I'll read out the responses for this activity. For the first question, King Midas loved gold. For the second one, Marigold was sad because the roses had turned to gold. The third one, the king was very happy after his daughter turned to gold. That was not true. So that was false. I'm sure you would have written a beautiful answer for the last question as what was the message or the lesson the king learnt from the story. Now we have come to the end of this session. I shall meet you all in our next session with few more interesting activities. Till then, practice whatever we have learnt till now. Bye.